Hi, I'm James, and this is my take on reality. Before we get started, I'd like to ask everybody who's not subscribed to hit that subscribe button. It really helps a brother out, so give me that HBO special. Hopefully you get something from the channel. It's free. All right, let's get it started. You know what? I want to let Shaeeda do the opening.
I'm worried about my menstrual cycle, and the doctor's telling me that there could be a problem when it comes to having a child. It's super frustrating to know that Bilal keeps wanting to delay trying for a baby, even after what the doctor said. He married someone who's 37 years old and really wants a baby. We have to deal with it, not run from it.
Is it something that we need to say, hey, you know what? Your risks increase as you get older.
It sounds like you're saying it's probably best to wait a couple of years.
Okay, it's clear you don't want a baby. Now, as intonated by Shaeeda, we're going to talk about Bilal and his unwillingness to give Shaeeda what she wants so badly, which is a baby and a family. Let's get it. We have to understand some things about Bilal. What do we know about Bilal? Bilal's motives and the way he carries himself, there are a few things that Bilal likes to present himself as. Like, for instance, Bilal likes to present himself as ultra successful, as clean with a fresh wardrobe, big, beautiful house, trophy type car, and to go along with those things like the trophy house, the trophy wardrobe, the trophy jewelry, the trophy car, he's got to have the trophy wife. And that's what Shaeeda presents. Instead of more of a partner, she's closer to akin to a possession. She's something that he can show off. Now, the idea that she's going to go out and have a baby, all of a sudden her body changes, and not just her body, her priorities change. Because now, instead of her spending all her time trying to please him and serve him and make sure all his needs are taken care of, her interest and her attention will be split between him and this baby. And guess what, y'all? That baby's going to win every time. So he's denying her the opportunity to have a child. I would say off rip, never force somebody to have a child who doesn't want a child. Having children is the most rewarding, beautiful, greatest experience a human being could ever have that will make you sad, it will make you cry, it will make you struggle, and you will have to sacrifice. Having children, although it's bound with all kinds of rewards, is a very difficult thing to do. The best description I heard of being a parent is basically you're going to take the heart out of your chest and you're going to let it walk around. And that's what being a parent is like. Because if anything happens to that child, it will kill you. So you are basically tearing your heart out of your chest, giving it its own heart, lungs, and consciousness, and let it go out and make its own decisions. And you just got to sit back and watch. That's what having a child is like. I would never encourage Shaeeda or anybody else to trick somebody into having a child or force somebody into having a child by either emotional blackmail or whatever it is that we want to say about Shaeeda trying to coerce him into doing it. I think that ultimately that's a mistake. This all goes back to something that I keep talking about on the channel, which is recruitment. When you go and you try to figure out who it is you want to be in a relationship with or who you want to marry, especially start a family with, these are important conversations for you to have before you get to the altar. They should be actually answers that you get before you even think about dating somebody seriously. You want to understand where they are. If your whole plan and your purpose for life doesn't line up with the person that you plan on spending the rest of your life with, then that's not somebody you want to share your life with. You want to move on. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. On to the next one. Now, when it comes to having children, let's hear what Bilal has to say.
It's 1,000% strange to me that we're at a fertility clinic. Now it's about taking the emotions out of it and looking at hard facts.
That's very interesting, Bilal. But one of the things that always struck me is that men historically will use words like logic, let's not be emotional, let's use logic and hard facts to come to decisions. And the reality of it is, it just turns into a way that these gentlemen are trying to dismiss the opinions and thoughts of the person they're in a relationship with. They use these words like, oh, we got to stop being emotional. We have to start using facts. We have to start using logic and really sit down and think about it. But when we look at the situation, the truth of the matter is, Shaeeda is passionate about having children and starting a family. Bilal is being emotional. What's the difference? Shaeeda, she wants to talk about the situation. She wants to have a conversation. She wants to communicate what she wants and listen to him about what he wants, and she wants to have a whole open discussion about it. What is Bilal's response to that? I don't want to talk about it. I already said what I want to say, and I haven't given you any information really, but the information I gave you just tells you that I don't want to talk about it. Let's just put it off until later when we decide that it's time for us to have the conversation. The secret to the sauce in that is it's never going to be a good time for you to have that conversation because he doesn't want to do it. So if you both have to agree to have the conversation, then he's never going to agree to have the conversation, so the conversation will never be had. That's not logical. That's not fact. Her new position is, let's go to the doctor, figure out what's going on, what the doctor is saying, where we are physically, whether we can even have children. Let's get more info. Let's gather facts. Since we're going to talk about not being emotional and being logical, let's gather facts so we can talk about discussion or the issues using fact-based information. What is Bilal's answer? Nah, it's too soon. What we need to do is we need to wait, and we need to just hold off and try to enjoy vacations and stuff. That's not fact-based. That's not logic-based. That's emotional. I also enjoy the fact that he brings up excuses. Well, we just got married. You have all this stuff going on. You just got here. And, what about postpartum? What about angry ass wife? That's what you need to be worried about. When she feels like you've robbed her of an opportunity, she's going to have resentment and she's going to have anger that she's going to carry into your relationship. Now, I'm not saying that you have to bow down and give her everything she wants, especially when it comes to children. But what I am saying is, don't sit here and pretend like you're being logical and rational because you're checking off a bunch of things on a list and saying that you're thinking about her when you're not thinking about her at all. What you're doing is you're trying to manipulate the situation because you don't give a damn that she came from another country, because at the end of the day, you moving to Trinidad wasn't an option. So it's not the fact that she came here or you care that she came here and she's experiencing those new differences. You don't care that you just got married and you guys are trying to get used to each other. You don't want children, so the fact that you're not used to each other is irrelevant. You guys have been technically dating and engaged for about 2 years, and you still haven't had that conversation. Over a 2-year period, you haven't sat down and told her, no, I don't want to have children anymore, which is fine. And because if you really think about it, he's telling her that she's got to wait about 3 years. Now, I think his oldest child is about 14, 15 years old, the young lady. That means that she's going to be about 17, 18 years old by the time he's considering having a child with Shaeeda. The logic of that is ridiculous. There's no way in the world this dude who thinks that he's going to go on vacations and have all this great, wonderful life, now that, he doesn't have any kids and he's married, and think of all this beautiful stuff. Just keep in mind that once we start having kids, all this stops. He's not going to say, you know what? All my 2 kids from my previous marriage are now grown. I'm done with children. I want to start over. I want to put in another 20. There's no way he's going to do that. And if he doesn't want to do that, that's fine. But tell your wife. Let her know. Let her make her own decisions. That's the one thing that I disagree with this whole thing with Bilal. And that's why it seems like I'm so angry at him, is because at the end of the day, Bilal is taking away Shaeeda's choice. If you tell her what you think and how you really feel, she now has a choice to make. And she can make that decision using facts, using logic. This is something you don't want to do. This is something that I really want. Now I have to make a choice whether I want to be with you or whether I want to leave you. Whether this is important enough for me to leave or whether I don't care and it's not important enough, so I'm going to stay. He's robbing her of her choice. Now, the crazy part is when it comes to communication, she keeps bringing it up and he keeps telling her to stop talking about it. Now, the don't talk about it thing is actually a way for him to get around it and is a logic trap. Because if she doesn't talk about it, then later on when she starts pressing him in about 2 years, 3 years, hey, we're getting close to 40, now we got to have a kid, he's going to look her in the face and say, hey, Having a baby wasn't that important to you, because if it was important to you, you would have been talking about it this whole time. You would have been talking about it whether I wanted you to talk about it or not. So therefore, it's not that important to you. I thought we were past this. I don't understand why you keep bringing it up. And that's how he's going to trap her later on down the line. And I can keep my toys exactly like my toys look. He's like the kid that keeps all his toys in the box and won't play with them. He wants to keep Shaeeda in the box and don't play with it. He doesn't want any babies messing up her breast. He doesn't want any stretch marks. He doesn't want anything to mar the trophy that he brought home. Now, even when the doctor mentioned the whole pro-con list, let's really think about it. In order for you to formulate a pro-con list, you have to sit down and talk about it. He's unwilling to talk about it. So a pro-con list, although it's a good idea and it sounds good, it will never work because he doesn't want to talk. And if he doesn't share what his thoughts are and allow his thoughts and his opinions to be criticized, especially the way he's criticizing hers, then it will never work. Here's some inconvenient facts that Bilal seems to ignore. Fact number one, Shaeeda most likely had been talking to Bilal about starting a family the entire time they were talking. Ever since he was proposed to her and while she was in Trinidad and they had to wait out the pandemic for the 2 years, she had constantly tried to talk to him about two issues. The first issue was how much money he had and where he lived at and what his house looked like. He avoided that like the pandemic. Number two, she wanted to talk about children, having children, how many children they would have, so on and so forth. He avoided both those topics with everything he had. He always talked about changing the subject anytime she brought those up. These are words that he said as he was talking about it. Number two, let's talk about something that the doctor really didn't focus on, but really struck out to me. When she said that she's 37 years old, he asked if she had ever been pregnant. She said no. Now, on the surface, to give Shaeeda credit, maybe she was abstaining from sex, so there was never a risk that she would get pregnant. Two, if she was involved with any sexual activity, maybe she took precautions and she made sure she didn't get pregnant, which is extremely possible. 1 and 2 are very, very possible. But there's also number three. She was having sexual relations and she was at risk of getting pregnant, but physically she's not capable of getting pregnant. That kind of boils down to the question of whether she's ever been to get checked out, whether she's seen a gyno, whether they've done any type of tests to make sure that she's producing eggs and she's actually fertile and she can have and carry a child. Those are all issues that you might want to look into and would make sense for her to want to go see a fertility doctor, because she's never been pregnant before. And so she might want to just make sure everything is in working order and everything is up to speed, and when they're ready to go and they're ready to try, that she's good to go. That is a logical thing to do. Now, the third inconvenient fact that Bilal doesn't want to face, doesn't want to talk about. As soon as she hit 35, she became a high-risk person for pregnancy, meaning that when she gets pregnant at 35 or older, she has a higher possibility of not being able to conceive a child, not being able to carry a child. If she's able to conceive and carry, there's a possibility that the child will not develop properly. There's a possibility that the child's health may be in jeopardy. And there's a possibility that a pregnancy and delivery may, in fact, kill a child. The other part of it is she could be in danger of getting sick, have health complications, and a pregnancy when you have high risk could possibly kill her as well. So these are things that you might really, really, really want to think about as you make her wait. And if you're logic and you're saying that I have an open mind and this is what I'm thinking about and these are my reasons, then your reasons don't hold up to muster, because if she's somebody that you love and you want to keep around, then you might want to consider starting the process earlier rather than later, because every day, every year, every month that she waits, she's in more and more jeopardy. And this is something that it sounds like, at least to my ear, she's determined to do no matter what the risk. However, if it's something you absolutely don't want to do, tell her. I don't think that Bilal is a foolish or stupid man. I think Bilal is manipulating the situation. I think that Shaeeda, in concert to this, is not a stupid woman. However, I don't think that her hands are entirely clean in this situation either. I think Shaeeda has looked at this situation and she has judged it completely wrong. In her mind, Bilal is the guy she wants to be with. Bilal is set up. He has the looks. He has the trophies that she likes. He has the money, the house, the car, the clothes, the jewelry. And if she wants to have a child, that's the type of man that she wants to have a child with. But instead of trying to find a guy who has these superfluous things, you need to find a man who checks off that one big box that she drives for, which is you want a man to check off the box where he actually wants to have a child with you, where he wants to start a family with you. Bilal doesn't check that box. He might check everything else, but he doesn't check that one big box. And according to Shaeeda, that's the one thing that she cares about. So in light of that, I think that Bilal is wrong because he's not being straight up and honest about what it is he wants. I think Shaeeda is wrong because she's willing to believe the lie that he's passing on to her just so she can get through, hoping that at some point he changes his mind. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out.
'Cause I've been living life